All right, y'all, I got to tell you a little story. And you know, if I say it, I either mean it or I mean it to be funny. One of the two. I either mean it or I mean it to be funny. And I meant this to be funny, and y'all take it that way. And no other way in the world, no harm, no foul. Just funny. I've got a sister. She is 65 years old, 10 years older than me. She's my oldest sister. And she had back surgery 15 years ago or so, and it really messed her back up. And she has been on a walker 90% of the time ever since. She used to be 6 foot tall. Now she stays bent over to about 5 foot tall. But really has a hard time getting around most of the time. And I've got this old cowboy that helps me a lot. He's 73, 74 years old. He's crippled in the knees, crippled half the time, had heart surgery. He's crippled most of the time. We give him a hard time most of the time too. And he's full of fun and cuts up, and we give him a hard time about it. But you got to imagine him 74 years old and crippled as a goose most of the time. He used to be real bad about picking at my sister. Before my sister had her surgeries, he was real bad about picking at her, cutting up with her, you know, joshing with her, just all in good fun. And yesterday, my sister called me and she said, "Hey brother," she said, "is that you I just passed in town?" And I said, "No." I said, "That's Dylan. He's in my truck. Him and Billy had gone to town to the vet. He's in my truck." And she said, "Oh, okay. Thought it was you." Well, she was sitting at the Dairy Queen in the parking lot, and Dylan pulled in beside her, and she said, "Well, here he is. He's going to stop in here and see me." So Dylan pulled in there beside her, and I said, "Hey," I said, "holler over there and ask Billy if he still wants some of that stuff as bad as he used to." She said, "What?" I said, "Ask Billy if he still wants some of that stuff as bad as he used to." She said, "I ain't going to do it." I said, "Deborah, just ask him. Ask him." She said, "I can't do it without laughing." I said, "Well, ask him anyway." And she looked over there and she said, "Hey, Billy," she said, "you still want some of this stuff as bad as you used to?" He said, "I could sure use it." Now, Deborah's 65 on a walker. Billy's 74, crippled as a goose. Billy is very well married and has a great wife, but it was funny. It was just funny, and we don't mean no harm by it. But he said, "I sure could use it."